We're back. This is the Third Degree Whitebelts podcast starring me and Matt, the Kung Fu Kids, aka the Bullshido Boys. Shout out to all the white belts out there. My name is Dom. I used to be an amateur MMA fighter. I had 3 fights, initially all wins, but then they got overturned allegedly after failing a drugs test. The commission says steroids, I say dick pills.
I'm undefeated Kendo Master Matt, kicked out of 6 MMA gyms for using a wooden stick. So every week we're just going to be breaking down whatever UFC card's on, reviewing the next one and just chatting shit about MMA in general. This week we're starting with UFC 263.
Let's start with the main card. What do you think about Jamal Hill versus Paul Craig?
That was a great fight. I think the ref should have stepped in earlier there. I mean, Hill came out on Twitter afterwards. You see that? And he was like, it's not the ref's fault. I didn't tap. The fact he didn't tap when his arm looked like a flaccid dick just flopping against Craig's thigh.
Flaccid dick tapping out for him.
Exactly, just like flopping and tapping away. Even Paul Felder was like, he looks like he's tapping.
Yeah.
I'm like, he looks like his arm's broken in 3 places. It's
And we were both saying, like, coming into the fight, we were not fans of Paul Craig.
Oh no, not after the Shogun fight.
Yeah, after the second Shogun fight, which was the saddest fight in UFC history, followed by the first Shogun fight, which was the second saddest fight in UFC history.
There was a real old man Bellator banger, on a UFC card, and this time Paul Craig. Yeah, he looked good. He looked really good, actually.
Yeah. The confidence to pull guard is impressive, especially at light heavyweight.
Yeah, he pulled him straight on top of him. He said he was going to bring it down to the ground straight away. The way he trapped his arm, and then he switched over to his left arm, spun into it, turned onto his front, started pulling it. That's when his arm, looked like it snapped. And then the ref just watched as he twisted it over his hip. And that's when the arm really snapped and just became flaccid.
A lot of people talking shit about the referee Al Guinea. But I think I'm really just a fan of any referee or fighter with a racially insensitive surname. I'm going to put Al Guinea number 2 right after Mike. Boop.
What other fighters are there?
Don't ask me for examples. There's got to be someone called David. I know about 3 of those guys.
No,
that's a legit surname. No, cut that out. No, that's a legit surname, man.
This is the thing. Like, Craig looked unreal.
Yeah.
But again, after the fight, most of the focus was on the ref.
Yeah.
As well. Dana came out and called him the Arizona Mazzagatti because on the journos in the press conference said that this happens on regional cards that this guy referees in. Which, if he's now on the main card of a pay-per-view and he does that in regional events, I reckon, give me like 3 kid boxing bouts to referee and I'm ringing up for UFC London. It's going to be me in the ring opposite Darren Till. I think it's mad how like single-minded he is as a fighter and still competes at that level.
Yeah.
Because, the second card, which we'll talk about in a bit, second fight even, was Maya against Muhammad. And again, there aren't a lot of those guys that are just so good at one thing and then clearly lack in another area. And it's the old... it wasn't like watching an old UFC event, but it was that same matchup of grappler versus striker.
But at least like Maya, he's improved his striking massively since he came to the UFC, whereas Paul Craig just said, fuck that, I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu.
Pulling guard is the ultimate...
Yeah.
Is the ultimate version of that.
And Chase Hooper tried that. Did you see the Chase Hooper fight? He tried that earlier in the card and he failed.
Yeah, because pulling guard puts you at a massive disadvantage unless you've got the strength to just... Because he manhandled him on the floor.
Yeah. Like,
he just pulled him in. He held him with his... trapped that right arm against his side and then just bullied him.
So... Maya Bilal, that was the next fight in the main card. That was really a similar thing, striker versus grappler almost, where the grappler was not successful in any kind of way whatsoever.
Yeah, if I have to hear about Maya's age one more time as well, like I get he's 75 and he's been fighting for 1 billion years. I understand that. I understand he's improved his striking, but when he's against a guy that's, 33, The difference in hand speed was huge, and I mean the athleticism as well, because Maya kept on going for that single leg, and Bilal just kept popping out, and by the second round it was a little bit sad to watch, because obviously I've seen Maya and what he could do previously,
and he was never athletic, but he used to make up for that by being sneaky and finding little ways to take you down anyway. And in this fight, he couldn't do that whatsoever.
Lots of sneaky Brazilian tactics.
There are sneaky Brazilian tactics.
Not the same way that Alex Oliveira uses sneaky Brazilian tactics, which is poke people in the eye and kick them in the groin.
Yeah.
Maya used...
If Maya just poked Bilal in his one working eye, this would have been a very different fight, I think.
Blind him, take him down, choke him out.
Yeah.
He had 19...
And whispered, "Fuck Palestine," into his ears.
Maya failed on 19 out of 20 takedowns. The one that worked was the first one in the first round, got him down against the fence, and Bilal just popped right back up again. And then from there it was like, okay, we're going to see this for 15 more minutes.
Do you think they're going to renew his contract?
No. So it was Maya's last fight on his UFC contract, and Dana White's already said. And Dana White, I don't know. I think the UFC have already said that it's not happening. So I'm looking forward to him getting snapped up by Bellator.
Yeah. And
we'll hear about Maya's age, but they'll just be like, Maya, the youngest man to fight in the Bellator roster. As it's him fighting 75-year-old
Rampage Jackson. He's now a super heavyweight.
Maya just yokes up to fight Fedor. Is he still contracted by Bellator?
I think he just does whatever the fuck he wants.
I mean, Scott Coker recently said that he would be interested in letting Logan Paul fight.
I'm sure he would be,
in Bellator. So I'm looking forward to Maya versus Paul in the most boring celebrity MMA matchup ever.
It depends. If they start putting up with like Mayweather level of weight guys, then maybe if they put him up against the Bellator women, I think he's got a pretty good chance.
This is what this podcast is about. Can Logan Paul beat the Bellator women? Because it's not the UFC ladies.
Well, first of all, can we name one Bellator woman?
So Chris Cyborg.
Oh, she's at Bellator.
She's at Bellator. Okay,
fine. Yeah, there you go.
I know about 3 more, but they're not coming to me right now.
Yeah.
The Bellator ladies division is similar to the Bellator men's divisions. Very Bellatory.
Alright, should we move on to the next fight? That was Nate Diaz versus Edwards.
I had great fun watching this fight.
I fucking didn't. I know you love Edwards, but I'm gonna tell you right now that was not a good performance.
Coming in hot.
And I think it hurt him more than it helped.
He dominated for 4 rounds.
Yeah, but no one's going to remember that. No one cares.
It was the last minute fucked him.
Yeah.
The last minute fucked him, because all I've seen on Twitter is Diaz fans just commenting what Diaz said after the fight, which was, if it was a real fight, we know who would have won that.
Yeah. Can you imagine standing in the street watching a 25-minute real fight? He's slowly wearing Edwards down.
Just with his face.
Yeah. Yeah, it's covered in blood.
In the face. Eventually I'll land on one. I mean, this is the thing, like, Diaz wasn't getting anything off.
No.
And then in the 5th round, Edwards went headhunting and was just swinging for the bleachers. He came out, he swung that left hook with a slap and a right straight down the middle.
Which is what he does, yeah.
Which, I mean, why was Edwards just... Why are you headhunting a guy who has like an Easter Island head who can't be knocked out?
Yeah.
Like, it frustrated me.
I would say that a younger Nate Diaz would have finished that fight, because between the time that he hurt him and the end of the fight, I think it was like a minute and a half, whatever, he was just pointing at him, he was kind of running around and not really doing anything. He really fucked himself, man. It was so dumb.
He went for the finish and he didn't get the finish, and Edwards like fought him off or took him down or something, then he would lose that I would have won if this was a real fight. But because he never actually really went for it, and he just swore at him for a minute and a half.
Oh, so you're saying it was tactical, yeah.
It's the Diaz way. The Diaz stock keeps going up. You know, I mean, this fight was... I mean, I played Joe Rogan Diaz bingo during this fight, and I ticked all the boxes. We had a lot of heavy on the league leg, North Cali BJJ.
Yeah.
Look at that scar tissue. And in the 4th and 5th round, those triathlons, man, they're made to do different things. Those triathlons.
Can I just say that anytime a fighter comes from another sport, so we know a lot about football, right? And if there's a Brazilian that comes in playing football, Joe Rogan's always about, the leg kicks. It's from the way that he must strike the ball. That's how he gets so much power. It's like, no, bro, it's from fucking training leg kicks. It's got nothing to do with fucking kicking free kicks or penalties or whatever fucking...
Jose Aldo's training was just penalties.
Yeah.
He was really good at penalties, and someone was like, do you fancy kicking some guy in the leg?
Yeah, he never says that about the NFL guys.
No, that's because they're already so rocked from playing NFL. They don't have the fight IQ to come through.
I was going to say, even before the last minute of that fight, though, it wasn't... He was very dominant, but it wasn't an impressive fight when you're gunning for the title shot.
Yeah. I mean, Nate's a tough guy to finish, but in the first 2 rounds, Edwards just felt he was going at a comfortable pace. Diaz was doing all the things where he was like leaning,
sticking out his arse, like weirdest like in fight fucking around I've ever seen.
Yeah, like I do enjoy the Diaz taunts, but I mean you can see him talking and chirping, but the poses are a new one, and Joe Rogan's like he's playing mind games.
Yeah, like Joe Rogan really tries to find any kind of positive when Nate Diaz is fighting.
It
looked like Nate Diaz was doing an impression of a Diaz brother. Like he wasn't even himself anymore. He's an old man now. He's like 42 years old. He's Nathan Diaz now.
He is.
He's Mr. Nathan Diaz.
Mr. Nathan Diaz. And he's just doing these weird poses. And everyone's like, what are you? Come on, man, just walk forward and fight. I mean, the third round was for me when it started, when Leon started heating up a bit. They started clinching more. We started to see those elbows breaking out the clinch from Leon. He got on top of him, hit him with some ground and pound. That's when he cut the side of his head open. There was a bit when Leon was on top of Nate, and Joe came out with, "This doesn't bother Nate one bit." I'm like, but it bothers the judges.
Yeah.
And that's what matters in a fight that's going to go the distance.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to get the title shot? Welterweight.
Well, Colby Covington's due the next shot.
Yeah.
And it's got to be Edwards after that. That's why they gave him Diaz, to give Edwards a bit of like a push and get him more name recognition.
But there's no way that it worked. I mean, did you see the crowd booing when they announced the decision?
Yeah.
Yeah. No one likes Leon Edwards anymore, and he's British. There's no way you can.
It's just a boy from Birmingham. I did enjoy listening to his corner. Just some brummy guys just shouting at him. It was a nice contrast, Stockton versus Birmingham.
I'm just looking at the rankings, and so Covington's number 2, and then you got Douglas Lima.
Where's Douglas Lima ranked?
He's he's 3rd. He's listed as a heavyweight on this fucking app. That's the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. So Burns is fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So then Leon Edwards is really down to like Michael Chiesa or Vicente Luque.
What happened? Oh, is this like the world?
No, this is UFC rankings.
No, because Douglas Lima fights in Bellator, and Roy McDonald's ranked number 10.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right.
What are these rankings?
These are just well ranked. So maybe he should leave the UFC.
How old are they? Because Roy McDonald's still ranked number 10.
Yeah, that's because he beat Tyron Woodley back in the day.
Before anyone else did.
Before anyone else did.
Roy McDonald beat Tyron Woodley.
Yeah. Nate Marquard's number 4, I mean.
How old are these rankings?
Yeah, this
podcast is the up-to-date cutting MMA news.
Can I just say, if anyone knows a good MMA app, please let us know. Just so that we know we have one listener, first of all, but also there isn't a single good MMA app that shows you just the events with all the fights where you don't have to go through 17 screens and it's updated regularly. They all fucking suck. And instead of me and Matt making an app to overtake all of that, we've decided, no, fuck that, we're going to overtake the Joe Rogan podcast because that's more attainable for us.
We're really trying to take out the fighter and the kid.
Yeah, that's
true. Those are
I don't want to say that, but we don't like to talk about them on this show because they've got a restraining order against us, and we should really have a restraining order against Brian Callen. To be
no, cut that.
None of this is going to be in that. Okay,
cut the allegations.
All right, next fight. Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno.
Moreno looked so sharp coming out the gate.
Yeah.
Figueiredo looked the opposite. He looked so slow. Do you see the pictures of Figueiredo during the weight cut?
No, it looked bad.
So he came in last minute, weighed in, and looked like shit. And I don't know how much that impacted it. He didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think his excuse is going to be this time? Because last time it was his stomach. This time it's his fucking prostate. Like, what's he going to blame now? Because he looked terrible.
He did, but he came out quite humble in the post-fight interview.
Yeah.
So unless he's going to make excuses further down the line, he seems like. I mean, I like, but I'm a big fan of both of them.
Yeah.
I really like them.
He did the failure right. You know, did you see the Amanda Nunes when she won and she was trying to be nice to whoever the woman was that she fought and she was letting her hold the belt? You know, like, this is just so condescending. Like, why are you doing this? Just let her be a loser.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, that was a thanks for coming.
Yeah.
That was a participation trophy. I did enjoy Moreno after he won, and then he just like looking shocked like a little boy. And then Anik and Rogan were like, "He did it! He did it!" Like it was like one of those. It was like the Mighty Ducks, one of those kids' sports films when against all odds, they take down the evil guy, and then at the end he wins, and he's like, "He did it!" And he's going to go home and play with his Legos.
Yeah. To be honest, in that moment when he was doing like the Viva la I wanted to become Mexican. Like I was proud to be Mexican in that moment.
I think everyone was proud to be Mexican.
Yeah, we're all Mexicans.
I think everyone. Yeah, I mean, looking at the Mexicans in the crowd.
Yeah, jealous, so jealous.
He's much better than Cain Velasquez.
Oh yeah, he couldn't even speak Spanish. Embarrassing. They had to keep saying it's the first ever Mexican-born Mexican.
Yes.
Shit. Yeah, no, he looked great, man. I hope he stays champion for a long time. I don't know. I don't know how good he is, to be honest. Based on that last fight, he looked amazing, but I don't know how much of that was his skill versus Figueiredo's shittiness.
I mean, we'll have to see. There's not a lot of depth in the flyweight division either. I mean, at one point, I think it was Rogan. They were talking about the flyweight division. Rogan was like, "This is the flyweight division," which is a damning indictment on a division that's just been saved. That your lead commentator's saying there's only 2 fighters in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've got Askarov.
Askarov is number 5.
Askarov is Askarov. So Askarov's sitting at number 3 in the UFC rankings, and he drew with Moreno a couple of fights ago. So I guess that's the obvious match for him next. But really, there's not a lot of depth in there. I mean, we'll see what TJ's going to do.
Yeah, people have been saying that maybe Figueiredo might move up to bantamweight.
I mean, he looked like shit in that weight.
It probably was the cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see him at bantamweight. It would be interesting.
He's 5'5", I think, though, which is an issue at bantamweight.
Yeah. I mean, is his power gonna
translate?
I mean, if you look at John Lineker, his power translated. I know Figueiredo's not the same. John Lineker's 5'1".
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
and just swanging and banging his way.
Yeah, Figueiredo versus Peter Yan. I can't. There's no way that would be an even fight. Yan would fuck him in the mouth.
Yeah.
Even against Cody Garbrandt, I don't see it.
Now with Cody Garbrandt, he's just got to land one shot on that chin.
Yeah, I think he should probably stay at flyweight. Alright, don't do it, Figueiredo.
That's official white belt advice. Don't go up to bantamweight, stay at flyweight. Kill yourself with the weight cut.
Yeah.
We want to see you fight at flyweight.
He needs like bone shaved off his head, and then it'd be easier for him to cut that weight. I think that's really the thing that weighs him down the most. Just out of proportion.
His giant head.
His giant red striped head. Okay, main event. Israel Adesanya versus Palestine Vettori. So
it was back to a flat-chested Adesanya for this one.
Yeah, and we questioned coming into this fight, you know, when he did have the tit, you know, pretty good fighter, lost the tit, lost to Bohovic. So there were a lot of questions coming around into this fight. Can he recreate his success without that large section of tissue upon his teat?
And he said it was from...
He answered the haters, man.
He answered the haters. I mean, we were sitting there hating on him, saying, how good are you without that tit? The answer is still very good. Yeah. I mean, he said it was from smoking too much weed, which I mean, that's a very John Jones-esque excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that little bit of gyno comes from, I think it's test or some PED causes.
Yeah, any level of testosterone that isn't coming from your own ballsack, you're gonna grow some kind of T.
If you could get gyno from smoking weed, Joe Rogan would have double D titties and be distracting John Anik through the whole of the UFC 263.
Yeah. I can't wait for the John Anik sexual allegations. He just seems like he would be a guy.
No, I love John Anik.
I like John Anik too.
Don't do this to John Anik.
I'm sorry, John. I know, because he always throws people's dirt out, doesn't he? He goes, oh, and Bilal Edwards, he, his mother used to be a crackhead, and then she tried to kill him with a coat hanger, and he survived. So great backstory there. And then the fighters get mad at him after the fight when they listen back to the commentary. So I'm just throwing things out there, John. Okay? I heard that maybe you might grab Joe Rogan's titty. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Adesanya Vettori. Hilarious that Vettori still thought he won at the end of the fight.
I mean, fantastic. The level of delusion.
Yeah.
I enjoy. I mean, the thing is with Vettori, like watching that fight, Adesanya was kicking that front leg, and Vettori was implementing the Diaz leg kick defense of taking it and walking forward.
He didn't check a single one.
Exactly. Just ignoring it's happening, pretending nothing's happening, and just keep on walking forwards. And guess what? It didn't work. And eventually, you could see he was just biting on those feints that Adesanya was throwing out.
Yeah.
And again, he was just headhunting. The whole time he was just walking forward. Adesanya was on the fence, and he was just swinging for his head. Adesanya was just slipping them all, kept moving. Go to the body. When he circles out, kick the trailing leg. Do something else. And it was just,
he got him down very early on, and I was like, oh shit. This is not what I was expecting. Got him down in the first round. That's pretty crazy. He's on his back. Was it the second round he almost choked him out?
Yes,
Like it seemed for a little bit like he was still losing the striking exchanges, but into the later rounds, maybe with his cardio, he might be able to pull something off here. And then the longer the fight went on, the more he just fell apart.
Yeah, he faded. Adesanya popped up from that first takedown defense pretty well. Spun around in his guard for that second one to get out of that.
And his coaches were telling him that he was losing every round too. And he kind of looked shocked each time they told him. And then once again, when they read out the decision, he also looked shocked.
I think something's going on there.
He gets kicked and punched in the head for a fucking living.
I think every time he gets hit, he forgets about the last time he got hit. So he only ever thinks he gets hit once.
Right.
And he's like, what do you mean? You haven't touched me.
Yeah. But I mean, it pretty much went the way that we were expecting it to. Overall, how good would you say the event was?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
I thought there was a couple of good fights. I think, to be honest, the two best fights were on the prelims. So Brad Riddell versus, according to Joe Rogan, the best underrated striker in the UFC, Drew Dober.
Oh, Drew Dober.
Yeah. Who got pieced up by Riddell, basically.
God, he looks... Drew Dober's got that chin.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, his mother's vagina must be a fucking wreck. Like, I hope he doesn't have siblings, because the fuck you get that Quagmire jaw out of there.
Quagmire Dober.
Yeah. And then also Matt Frivola versus Terence McKinney. 7-second knockout. Broke his own knee celebrating, which is a classic gag.
I mean, that was a nice fight, because McKinney came out afterwards that he had been tased by the police and legally died twice. So he's now the fourth MMA fighter to come back third.
Yeah, exclusive group, really.
So you got Court McGee.
These are guys who've come back from death, and then their heart stopped, and then fought. Yeah, so Matt Brown, Court McGee, and then Dada
5000, of course, an exclusive group, and Brendan Sharp, who's legally, but still somehow keeps commentating on fights.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth talking about, but basically there's a car insurance advert that gets played in between each round for a brand named Liberty, and it's the worst advert with the least amount of creativity in it. Let me do an impression of the advert. Make sure you buy your car insurance at Liberty. Liberty, 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 liberty. That's it. That's the jingle. It's just repeating liberty 4 times.
That's American adverts.
It's such fucking horseshit where you go, how does this work for your company as opposed to just making everyone not want to use your shitty product?
I want you to think about who's watching a Diaz fight card.
Well, apparently people who need car insurance and erectile dysfunction pills.
People who need fight nuts, which is a snack.
Yeah.
Car insurance, of course. And Modelo.
Yeah, yeah, Geico.
And more insurance.
Yesterday, another one they had, Starbucks. Again, completely wrong demographic. And it was like a bunch of like the teenagers laughing to each other in the park, and it's the Starbucks logo. Does Starbucks even need to advertise? Who doesn't know what Starbucks is?
Especially not on a UFC card.
Exactly.
Like, no Nate Diaz fans
Drinking at Starbucks.
Are going like after the fight. No,
there isn't a single Starbucks in Stockton. I'm telling you right now. There are no Starbucks in 204.
209.
209.
209.
Or 204. Who knows? I don't know where that is, but I bet you there's no Starbucks there. Alright guys, that was our 127th episode of the Third Degree White Belts podcast.
That's a long gap between those.
Yeah. To be honest, I forgot the name of the podcast. I've been doing this so long. We've done so many episodes.
That's all from us this week. If we keep avoiding the shutdown and avoiding all their lawsuits, we'll be coming back next week with some more breakdowns to talk a bit more shit.
See you later, White Belts.